Okay, so day 11, 12 of this human experiment, myself as the test subject. I've done my morning meditation, I've done my subconscious work using Neville Goddard techniques, which I do through the night as I'm not the best sleeper, so in between waking and sleeping I hold the feelings of the self I wish to attain, which is at stark opposites to the self that I'm carrying in my subconscious. Feelings of lack of self-worth, lack of belief in myself, etc. gives me a way to work on those things. I am noticing a difference, so I thought I'd comment from where I'm at now in this journey on why I quit cigarettes. I touched on that previously. I disappeared for a while when I began that part of this journey. Just touching on that briefly, so it was a lot heavier than I thought it would be. So the first week I had some really heavy stuff come up. I didn't want to report from that space because I was fully enveloped in that space. Everything from thoughts of self-harm, extremely hard on myself, extremely punishing of myself and choices that I'd made in the past. The intensity was incredible. There was even one night where I just couldn't sleep and I had random thoughts going into my head of, you're not worth being here, you're not worth anything, you're just a burden to everyone, they're going to be better off with you, they're going to be better off if you just do away with yourself. So really, 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 really intense stuff. That wasn't just because I want a cigarette and I can't have one. And this is what I wanted to touch on about cigarettes. That was because the cigarettes themselves, like an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety medication, were suppressing a lot of the dis-ease, a lot of the unhappiness, a lot of the discontentment, a lot of my lack of self-realization, even though on a soul level I know that's what I want to realize. They were suppressing all those feelings day by day, moment by moment, like a medication. You don't think so because they're not a mind-altering substance like alcohol or harder drugs, but they suppress a lot. They suppress a lot. I had a lot of anger come up, I have a lot of fear come up. I was struggling with fear already before I quit, so these were constant puffing is masking a lot of what I'm struggling with and stuff that I need to purge from myself. So forget the health reasons. Yeah, they're important. Yep, my lungs are important. My physical health and longevity, of course, is important. But the real reason for me that I had to make this choice was because of what they bury and what they keep lodged inside you if you're carrying anything. It depends on the kind of person, but you might find if you're smoking, you might have a nervous disposition, whatever. This sort of keeps your mind off whatever is at the core of that nervousness and that anxiety, which is just another form of fear. But what I discovered was, as I hit one level of rock bottom, it's like, okay, I need to clear stuff out that needs to go. I want to rebuild my life from the ground up. Health aside, all the obvious things aside, what am I actually saying every time I have a cigarette? So I noticed every time I had a cigarette, I was escaping something. I was using it as a painkiller, and I mean, I'm doing this constantly. So what kind of constant pain am I in? What am I perceiving as painful? And you realize that as time goes on, the longer you do it, you are fostering an environment within smoking, and the statement that you put out to the ether every time you light up and sit there and you suck on it to escape the pain, to escape reality, to escape the moment. Who tries to escape things? Victims try to escape things. If you are out in the African savannah and all of a sudden you found yourself being pursued by a lion, you would do what? You would try and escape, because all of a sudden you're a victim of a man-eating creature. So subtly, subconsciously, every time you light up, every time I lit up and drew on that cigarette and sucked on it, I was trying to escape. And I was doing it pretty often, so I'm perceiving that almost all the time there is something I need to escape from, that almost all the time I'm a victim, that subconsciously over the years I have made an enemy of every situation in my day-to-day life and an adversary of every moment that I'm seeking to live. And that is what I'm creating my present moment from, with a complete lack of presence whilst doing so. And if I'm creating this constant tapestry of victimhood and something that I need to escape in the moment, what is my future going to serve up more of to me? It's going to serve up more of the situations that I perceive I need to escape, more of the hardship that I perceive that I'm carrying on my shoulders as I suck away on a cigarette and go, oh, life's hard, but at least I've got my little relief here. And it's like the more you do that, the harder life gets. The more you feed into that reality, the thicker it gets around you, and on and so on. This is what I perceived as I was smoking. Every time I smoked, one, I wasn't present. Two, I was perceiving myself as a victim. Three, I was creating my present out of that constantly and serving up more situations that victimized me or that I was a victim of, till I was just in this constant loop of things getting harder and harder and harder. And it's not just cigarettes. Cigarettes are what I was using to mask the realization of that, the realization that I would have had if I looked inside and gone, hang on, I'm not at peace with every moment. I'm at odds with every moment. I am experiencing feelings of dis-ease, of discontentment, of anxiety, of unhappiness. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to realize that. So I smoke cigarettes to keep that from my sight and my feeling. And of course, once you peel that away, you peel away your medication, and it's amazing what it can hide and suppress, that constant ritual, even though it's just nicotine, which it is it's a stimulant, it's an upper, so you can sort of look at it as an antidepressant. But once I stopped, there was a buttload of depression, anxiety, self-loathing, all the things I've been carrying that have been subconsciously, that have been sewing the tapestry of my chapter in front of me each time as I go through my journey. This was hiding all this from me. So I guess what I wanted to say was the real reason I had to quit smoking was the energetic, silent statement I'm making to myself and to the ether every time I light up. And if you're someone who's struggling with cigarettes and you're thinking about your health, etc., which is the first thing we all think about this. Think about the statement that you make to yourself every time you light up and you do something that deep down you don't want to do. You are a victim of yourself. You're a victim of the perception that the world is against you, that existence is difficult. You're a victim of feeling guilt about something you don't want to do to yourself, and then breaking that promise and doing it anyway, constantly, over and over and over again, this psychologically and spiritually and emotionally weakens you and diminishes your self-view so much, because you become, in an unspoken agreement to yourself 10, 20, 30 times a day, completely powerless. I am powerless. I'm powerless to do anything good for myself. I'm not worthy of doing anything good for myself. I'm not worthy of stopping this constant agreement, habit, arrangement that I have with myself that is physically, but also highly emotionally, spiritually, and mentally self-destructive. So that was really dark the first week for me, really intense. I don't think most people would probably get thoughts of self-harm and stuff. I've been carrying a lot of guilt about choices and where we've ended up at this point in time. And clearly cigarettes have been masking a lot of that for me. I don't drink alcohol. I don't sort of have any other means to bury what I'm going through. So cigarettes were clearly covering a lot. But now I've sort of reached the point where I got to the end of the darkest bit, and for a while there I was sitting and I was just waiting for the light to come in. I'm like, God, come in, rescue me, get me through this, because if you don't, I'm just gonna lose my temper, get the shits at myself, get the shits at everyone, start smoking again. Like my unconscious self, my old self, is going to create a situation where I can get triggered and use that to justify going and smoking. So it's probably about around the 8th or 9th day I started to feel a bit of a shift in the energy after sticking with it, and I had a light bulb moment where I realized that, like, yeah, that's good, that's enough to free me up, but it's not just going to come in and do it by itself. The light's not just going to turn on by itself, pick you up and carry you out in a magic carpet. It's time to create an energetic exchange. It's time to all right, I'm letting something go. It's time to create something to replace that with. I've been breaking promises to myself for years, wanting to escape the vice and the grip of being a slave to something, yet constantly breaking that promise and continuing on with it. So that was me deep down starting something and then not finishing something, and it was bearing a truckload of fear and lack of self-worth constantly. So an easy way to start to shift that energy, when I say easy, simple, it's not complicated, there's nothing subconscious involved, is to set a goal for myself each day and to make sure I achieve that goal in counterbalance to what I didn't do for a long time, and to slowly empower myself, and in this situation improve my health, which is why I'm now going for a run every day, doing some exercise, a walk while I shoot this video. I'll start running again when I stop talking. So in that way I'm replacing, and my morning meditation as well. So my morning meditation, I get up and before I have breakfast, I go for this walk, I go for this run. The light's starting to come in, the energy's starting to shift, and it's starting to feel a lot better. And I'm still struggling. I'm sort of at this point where I'm like, what do I do with myself now in this new, but that will come, the next stage will get revealed, because I'm doing the work, I'm doing the groundwork I need to do now. So yeah, I just wanted to share that about cigarettes and about smoking, because I just think people always talk about the physical aspect of smoking. They never talk about the invisible aspect of smoking and what you're actually taking from yourself, and how much your power just dwindles over time, over years, however long you've been doing it, till you just feel like you're a powerless slave that's incapable of bettering yourself, and so you just remain in a chrysalis, stagnant state, which is the opposite to the universe, which is always in motion. So yeah, I think, anyway, that's all I want to say about smoking. I'm surprised, so actually people have been watching these. This was more of just a diary to myself to keep track of my progress. If you are watching, thanks. Hopefully you might get something out of this if you're someone who's struggled with similar things. I'll be tapping into doing a video next on fear, my relationship to fear, and how much it can just saturate everything and disguise itself as other things, and keeping you updated with the positive aspects of starting to shift my feeling states. Thanks very much. Talk to you next time.